A couple of announcements. One is, you haven't put the new Wi-Fi up yet, have you? Yep. We got new Wi-Fi, new password for public use. So if you need to get on the Wi-Fi, grab that. We are now here every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It won't always be me, but it'll be somebody who's ready to do a way. We'll be here and the reason we're doing this is obviously it's getting pretty busy on Wednesdays. A couple of Wednesdays we've had people sitting on the stairs and up in the office or whatever. People who aren't available on Wednesday, we got 2 other days now they can come. They're starting to get busy. Our first Thursday is tomorrow. Tuesday's starting to get fairly busy most of the time. Yesterday was kind of lame, but it wasn't terrible. Sometimes it's good to have a break. My name's Jay Horton. For anybody who doesn't know that already, I spell it J-E-H. Will you turn that arrow off, please, Ann? Thank you. I spell J the correct way, J-E-H, not J-A-Y. That makes it easy to find my record. Matter of fact, if you stream music, you should put my album on the stream. You don't need to listen to it. Just turn the volume off and let it play all night on repeat so I make a little money. It went chiclet last week, so we're doing really well. We're hoping for aluminum foil next. April of last year, I'm at a gig. I'm a professional musician. Obviously, I'm not a businessman or a banker or anything like that. You can tell just by looking at me. I was at a gig. I was talking to our lead singer, and he says, "Hey, man," tells me and the bass player, "we're going to do this thing." So he says words like crypto and mine and Texas, and I didn't really understand much of it. But he said, "Look, if you give me $1,000, you might make some pretty cool money, or you might lose your $1,000. We don't know." So that was such a great pitch, I just signed right up. And so I've Zelled him $1,000. They sent me some stuff in the mail, and I put it in a file and wrote Texit on it and hid it in my briefcase because I did not tell my wife I spent $1,000. And I just forgot about it because all I really knew was they were building this mine, and what I knew about crypto at the time is I'd heard of Bitcoin and I'd read about the Chinese building a giant mine, so the mine seemed like the way to go. So 4 months later, I have COVID and I'm at home, can't do anything. I get bored and I thought, I wonder what happened with that mine thing. So I call up Eddie. He walks me through how to download an app, read a wallet, all of which you can learn once you sign up. It's not important to know that right now. And I look in there and it says I've got $6,800. So I call up Eddie and I go, "Hey man, is this real?" He said, "Yeah, you can sell those on DexTrade right now for about $6,800. I said, "Are you kidding me?" He said, "No, it's for real." I said, "Well, that's great." Well, it was obvious to me that I did not know what I had my hands on. And what I had gotten involved in was a guy named Bobby Gray who lives in McKinney. He and my friend Eddie had been working together for 15 years doing coins, silver and gold mostly. And they actually had a mint in McKinney, a giant mint. Matter of fact, that's one of the reasons he had the power to start the mine was because he had a mint. So Bobby, around 2010, 2012, was trying to get people like downtown areas to use gold and silver as an honest currency. Now, why would we say honest currency? Well, the dollar bill is not an honest currency. They can make as many as they want. It's just a piece of linen that we hand back and forth to each other. It's not really an honest currency. If it were, the house I bought 20 years ago for $100,000 wouldn't be worth $300,000 now because it's not a better house than it was. The dollar bill is just not worth as much as it was. Well, so he wanted to do an honest currency, but there were some problems with gold and silver. You know, if you're going to buy a car with silver, you're going to have a wheelbarrow to carry it into the car lot. You know, and gold's not easy to carry around either. You can't mail a Krugerrand to Amazon and then send you back your product. And if you did, you had to wait 6 weeks. And as he likes to tell it, he was riding his his gold and silver horse and buggy when the Bitcoin rocket went right by him. So he started looking at crypto and how it worked, and he started making products for the crypto industry, some of which we still use. Matter of fact, if you've ever seen the Bitcoin coin, it has the big B on it, one of the most famous coins in the world, that's his coin. If you've ever seen the Ron Paul coin, he made that for an event for Ron Paul, and there's a bunch of those around the world now. Silver coin with Ron Paul's picture on it. Libertarian guys are real into that thing. Anyway, so Bobby said, I'm going to learn how this works. So he figured out how to make a cryptocurrency controlled by a mine that produces a certain number of them every day so they can't inflate like the dollar. We can't make billions of TXC today. The mine's going to make between 90 and 100,000 of them tonight, most likely, or it's going to distribute them tonight. It's been making them all day. And that's all it can do. So because of that, those things tend to go up in value. Anybody have any idea what a Bitcoin is worth right now? Yeah, over 100K for one coin. So he designed Texit coin the same way. He built a mine. He actually sold his mint, sold all the equipment, built the mine right there where his mint had been because he already had the three-phase power. Started mining the coin in January to prove he could do it. In April, when I found out about it, he told Eddie and some other guys, he said, hey, find us some guys who want to put some money in this and see how this goes. So they released the coin in April at 2.8 cents. I looked at it a minute ago, it's $5.35. So that's a year and 4 months. We went from 2.8 cents to $5.35. The crazy thing about it, and the reason I had $6,800, is when you own a piece of the mine and you get coins every day, as you stockpile the coins and they go up in value, all of a sudden you make these exponential jumps. And I've seen some pretty huge ones, there are people who will, in this room actually, who will tell you, this is what it's gonna do in February, and this is what it's gonna, I have no idea what it's gonna do. I know what they say it's gonna do, and they've been right so far, but I can only tell you what it's done because I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have a stone tablet at the foot of my bed every morning that God leaves there with Texit coin will be $6 a coin tomorrow. So I'm just gonna tell you what it has done. I bought a single mine. Cost $9.95 to buy into this, okay? To buy your part of it. I'm staying away from the S word to avoid the SEC. So we're gonna call them mines and not that S word. I bought a single mine for $9.95. It is exactly the same amount of mega hash that you can buy tonight for $9.95. Hasn't changed. Bought it in my wife's name. You'll understand that in a little bit. And this was, of course, after I told her I'd made money. It's got about $65,000 worth of coins in it right now. I've got a friend, some of you know him. He's a local boxer named Troy Dorsey. I told him about this in December. He did, at the time we had a sale on, he did buy three, get one. He's cashed out his $3,000 or $2,985 in Texit coin already, and his mine's already back up to like $18,000. That's just since December. The last guy I'll tell you about is a friend of mine named Pat in Florida. Saw me posting stuff on Facebook, said, you know, Jay was a lot of things, but he wasn't a liar, so he called me. And he said, he's another guitar player. I got a lot of guitar players in the group. He called me up, and he bought one for $9.95. He's not enhanced it at all. He bought it in April. In July, he called me, said, how do I see how much money I've got? I walked him through the same process that Eddie walked me through, and he had $1,500 in there. So what I'm telling you is, it's done some pretty amazing stuff because of that exponential growth. Will it continue to do that? I can't tell you. I can tell you this, I'm glad I risked my $1,000. Eddie actually never told me it was $9.95. He kept my $5. Finally gave it back to me 3 weeks ago. So I'd shut up, but it didn't shut me up. Anyway, that's the bottom line of what we're doing. Essentially, we're crowdfunding. If you've heard that term and don't know what it means, basically we all own a piece of the mine. You can earn pieces of the mine. You can buy more than one piece. As a matter of fact, you can buy up to 9. The most you can actually buy are 9. There's actually a new program they've just come out with where you can actually buy 27. And I just learned on the Zoom meeting I was watching when you guys got here that the 54 is now official. It's going to be, they got somebody to actually administer it. If you know somebody's just got a ton of money and wants to put 54 grand into this, they'll let them buy 27 mines and get $27,000 worth of Texit coin. But they're going to pay the projected price for next month on the Texit coin because they're not going to let them buy 27,000, turn around and make $3 a coin on them in a month when it jumps up again. So those are the maximums you can buy. There's also a couple of sales. I like to call them Texit coin blue light specials. If you buy 5, they give you 1. If you buy 9, they give you 2. So 5 is 6, 9 is 11. I bought 1, that's all I bought. That's really all you need to understand how this works. If you want specifics on how a mines cryptocurrency, I can't tell you, I'm not a computer guy. I'm just telling you they put these things in my wallet every day and I got more money in it every day. And it just keeps going up and up and up. That's all you really need to understand to be involved in this. Now I'm going to discuss our marketing program next, but I want to be sure everybody understands you never have to ever tell anyone that about this program. You can take your Texit coin cold storage wallet, hide it. We call it, my buddy calls them, people who do this, sock drawers, because they put it in the sock drawer. You can put it in a safe or put it somewhere and just completely ignore it and look at it in 6 months and see what it did. But what I did was something completely different. First thing I did was told my wife, and she said, well, I guess I can't say anything if you made $6,800. She thought about it a minute. She tried to come up with something to say. But anyway, then I started telling some of my buddies. Now, I didn't know there was a referral program. I knew Eddie had told us, but I just figured he was just telling his buddies because that's what he was doing. And I'll get to Eddie again in a minute, but I didn't know there was a referral program, but I started calling my running buddies, the guys I talk to once a week, the guys that when they come to town, we have to Uber because we shouldn't be driving. I started calling them, and they started calling Eddie because they'd say, well, how does it work? I go, I don't know, talk to Eddie. They'd call Eddie, and then Eddie would sign them up. And then Eddie calls me up and says, hey, man, you got more mind power. I said, well, that's cool. I said, why do I have more mind power? He said, well, when you refer 3 people, they give you more mind power. I said, oh, well, that's cool. So I may be a little more motivated. I called a few more people. The next week, Eddie calls me up and says, how do you want your bonus? And I said, what bonus? He said, well, there's a bonus. It's based on a point system. I don't like it very much. It makes me think about Amway or Mary Kay or some of that stuff. He said, but we do have it. I said, well, why didn't you tell me about it? He said, well, I just don't like it. I said, well, he likes it now, by the way. But anyway, he said, you know, you got a bonus coming. I said, well, how can I get it? He said, well, I can give it to you in Texit coin. Or the company, there are only less than like 300 miners at this point. There's over 40,000 of us now. But he was like, you know, you can get it as Bitcoin. You can get it as Texit coin. There were a lot more options than there are now. You can get it as USD, all stuff I'd never even heard of. And he said, you know what? He said, I can probably just get him to give it to me since I work here, and I can just sell it to you, because he sells me, you know, gig money when he cashes the check from the gig. So I said, well, how much is it? Because I figured it's like when you tell your friend they sign up at the bank gives you $50 and a toaster, right? So I figured, well, I've signed up a handful of people, maybe it's $150. If it had been $150, I'd have said, buy me some Texit coins, stick it in that wallet, let's see what it's going to do. He said, it's $1,000. I said, well, sell it to me. I know how to play with house money. And I haven't actually, I've made more than I put in ever since. I've never put in more money in a Texit coin than I've actually made off of it. It's been that simple and that good. I will tell you how it works. The way it works is, here was Eddie. And Eddie told me, and he told our bass player, Russ. And he told a guy named Cesar. Remember, I was 4 months into this before I found out you could refer anybody or found out I had any money. So all that time, even though Eddie doesn't like this thing, he works directly for Bobby. So he had to do something. And he told Lester and he told some other guys, and they all bought. Well, when I got off the phone with Eddie and found out I had that money, I called my buddy Tony. Now, Tony and I are really close. Tony is like my little brother. There's Eddie right there. Speaking of Eddie, he no longer owes me $5, so he did pay me. Anyway, one of the first people I called was Tony. Tony's like my little brother. When my father passed away, I had to actually register my truck in Florida with Tony as half owner, because if your name's not Bush, you can't have a vehicle in 2 different states. So I told him, and I sent him a picture of this wallet. You know, it had the number of Texit coin and then how much they were worth. And there's quite a few coins at that point. because there were only 20 people mining when I started. And he took that number of coins and he went and looked up Bitcoin, which was selling for 60 grand a coin at the time. He said, do you realize if this goes to Bitcoin level, you're going to have over $4 billion? And I said, well, Tony, I don't expect it to do that, but if it does, you can have the truck. So I had told Tony, I had actually bought one in my wife's name, one in my daughter's name, so that I could get these bonuses. And I told some other people, Mark, etc. And what had happened was, for every 3 mines that sell on either side of your group, so Eddie had sold 3 over here, or way more than 3, and I sold 3 over here. If you match 3 on each side, they give you $1,000, or they'll give you 2 more mines. If you match 6 points on each side, they'll give you $2,000, or 4 more mines. Your choice. That's the best deal in Texit coin, by the way, is the BOGO. If you match 9 points on each side in a week, you get $3,000 or 6 mines. That's where it ends. I have people say, oh, that's a pyramid. And I go, well, it's a dumb pyramid because it stops at 9. I'm at the top of one. I get about 6,000 points on one side and about 1,000 on the other. And I only get to use 9 on each side. So it doesn't work that well to sit at the top and make billions of dollars because it's not designed to do that. But $3,000 a week, when I got to that point, because my group got to a certain size, that was life-changing for me on top of the Texit coin. That's one of the programs. That's the point program, where it's called Rapid Rewards by a lot of people, or by the company. The other one, where you get more mind power just for referring people, is called 1, 2, free. And Eddie, what should they call it?
1, 2, 3 free.
Yes, because it's actually 3 people get you another mine.
That's not as catchy and easy to say as 1, 2, 3.
And the other gets you another mine. If you do that within the first 30 days of signing up, they'll give you 2 mines. Every 30 days that you requalify by referring at least 3 people, they'll give you another 2 mines. There's no money involved with the 1, 2 free, but there are mind power. So between the 2, you can build your mine pretty quickly, and you can make a lot of coins. Again, two of the 3 I showed you a minute ago, those people have never referred anybody. So those are just single mines. The one that's got 65K in it, and the other one has 1,500 after 3 months. Those are the 2 rewards programs. Again, I like to always say this several times. If you don't want to refer people, don't refer them. I will tell you this, if you do refer people, don't be stupid like me and go through your list slowly, because there's somebody here tonight that I should have called, and somebody else called them, so I'm going to lose that referral credit. And referral credits are a good thing. But you don't ever have to do any of that. It's going to cause, don't do this. Don't put money you don't have into this. Pay off a high interest credit card. Do that first and then come back and do this. But if that isn't anything with that high, I've got that kind of money. This actually, after Eddie told me, it's interesting for you. If there's any questions, I'll take 2 or 3 questions, and then you guys we can meet and mingle, and we can